get the point. We made it to Legend. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. We finally did it. We reached Legend this season. I really was starting to get worried. I was thinking I was not going to be able to make it, but we finally made it, and we made it in a cup I never thought I would reach Legend in, Open Master League. This is the first time. I've reached it before in Master Premier Cup, but never in Open Master League. I was really surprised this season, and the reason I've never hit Legend in Master League is because I don't usually play Master League, because I don't have the best selection of Pokemon for it. I have only a handful of legendaries maxed out, and half of them are not even usable. This is because it takes me a lot of time to max out a legendary, and by the time I've maxed one out, it has become obsolete, or the meta has shifted so much that it's just not useful anymore. I'll give you guys an example. My Dialga, it took me 3 years to get my Hundo Dialga. I was trading with my brother, I remember, and then one day I finally got one randomly. I could not get a good one from raids, whatever I did. And then I got one from a trade. I maxed it out immediately. I got to have a little bit of fun with it in Master League before, of course, it became obsolete because Landorus got Sansir Storm, Xerneas got Geomancy, and Solgaleo was introduced, which was a big counter to Dialga. And then guess what? They introduced the new and improved Dialga Origin form, which of course I do not have. So my Dialga now is not really usable. I also used to use Zekrom, which I haven't used in a while in Master League because it's just going to get destroyed by the fairies and by Landorus, of course. So I just stopped playing Master League. I think I've only ever posted one video on my channel playing Master League, and I was using the Dialga and the Zekrom that I had in that video. But that brings us to this season where I finally cracked because I was sick and tired of every time Master League would come around, I would just be sitting on the sideline watching my friends play Master League, not being able to participate, hoping that I can play whatever other cup was around. And this time it was Fossil Cup, and Fossil Cup drove me absolutely crazy last week because I could not get a single positive set. One positive set in Fossil Cup. I lost so much elo in that cup and I refused to play it. I was like, you know what? This is a game. I'm here to have fun. I'm gonna power up the Pokemon that I have, and I'm going to play Master League. I am not going to be left out this season. So that's what we did. We built the Lando with the 14 attack, we built the Palkia, and then I finally had a team that I could at least get by with in the Master League. I can tell you guys what I was using before. I was using Dragonite, Xerneas, and Ho-Oh, and I only used that team if I was already Legend and I just needed to play something. I mean, it was an okay team, but it wasn't Legend worthy. It wasn't going to get me where I needed to get. But that brings us to today's video where I am going to be showing you guys the battles that got me across the finish line. It is going to be with the same team that I used in my last video, which is going to be Xerneas lead with Landorus on the save swap and Palkia Origin in the back. I should point out that I started seeing a lot more Necrozma leads when I was playing yesterday, so today I tried a different team. I tried Ho-Oh lead with Double Dragon in the back, Palkia, and the old Dialga. I don't have Dialga Origin. That team worked really well for me as well. So if you're seeing a lot of Necrozmas, you can try Ho-Oh Double Dragon. Or I was also recommended by my friends Palkia lead with Landorus and Ho-Oh in the back. But the team I'm using in my video today works perfectly fine. It did what it needed to do. So let's just jump into the battles because I have a lot to show you guys today. In this first game, we saw the Dialga on the lead. I was able to land a close combat and then take a shield from our opponent with the second close combat, but I was then okay with letting my Xerneas go. I brought in Landorus, and Landorus with an energy lead can be very deadly. I was able to farm their Dialga down, but then my opponent brought in a Palkia. I go for a Sansir Storm, and then I attempt to catch the Aqua Tail on my own Palkia. I'm not able to do this. My opponent saves all that energy and then brings in a Duskmane Necrozma, but we're able to take their final shield from them, and we're even able to land enough Aqua Tails to take the Duskmane Necrozma out. My opponent's final Pokemon is that Palkia with the energy lead, but I swap into my Landorus, which has a Sansir Storm built up, and I snipe them with the move, take them out before my opponent can react, and we take that win. Moving on to the next battle, we're going to see another Dialga origin lead. This is why I was running the Xerneas lead, because this was one of the most common leads I was seeing. The other one was Palkia, and then I also saw a few Necrozma leads and a few Fairy type leads as well. As I've done in my previous games, I will shield the first Iron Head, and then if my opponent decides to invest a shield on their Dialga, then I might let the second Iron Head go. But in this instance, my opponent lets both close combats go through. I'm able to take the Dialga out, and then before seeing what comes in next, I immediately blind swap into my Landorus. That's because my Xerneas is debuffed, and I don't want whatever comes in next to farm me down. It is going to be a Dawn Wings Necrozma, and I am just debuffing it with my Landorus. They are super debuffed now, but they're still able to take us out with the Moongeist Beam. But my Xerneas is still alive in the back, and it looks like my opponent's final Pokemon is going to be a Zacian. Okay, I get the Zacian into Moonblast range with an Aqua Tail from my Palkia, and then I bring in Xerneas. I go for that Moonblast, but I don't charge it up completely because I need to farm this Zacian down so that I could reach a Moonblast up against the Necrozma. My opponent realizes this, they go ahead and they top left, and we take that win. I was really proud of that play there. Moving on to the next battle, I remember this battle. We are up against a Lugia on the lead. I am going to be resisting the fast move, so I'm okay with this. Just going to go for these Moonblasts, and it's looking like I just need 2 Moonblasts to take this. I think it's an Apex Lugia out of the way. Yeah, it is an Apex Lugia. Gonna go for a second Moonblast. We managed to shield the Aeroblast successfully, and my opponent is going to have an Apex Ho-Oh on the team as well. Okay, we bring in the Landorus, and I managed to bait successfully with the Sandseer Storm, and I decide to shield my Landorus because I know I'm going to be able to take my opponent's second shield with a Stone Edge. And then as I'm about to reach my next Stone Edge, my opponent swaps out into a Shadow Garchomp. I'm not able to swap out with all that energy because I am switch locked, so I'm just going to let my Landorus go. I bring in Palkia, farm up a little bit, and then I manage to catch the Outrage on my Xerneas. But I also want them to take my Xerneas out with the Garchomp because I don't want Ho-Oh to come in and farm us down, because Ho-Oh with energy can be pretty scary for Palkia. But here's what happens. They go for a Sacred Fire and they debuff us, and I didn't hit the Aqua Tail because I didn't think it would be enough to take the Ho-Oh out because we got the debuff. I should have just gone for it just to see. I might have had a chance to win that, but I hesitated. My opponent made it to a Brave Bird, and I took a loss there, but that's okay because it is still a positive set. We went 4-1, and we managed to gain a lot of points. Moving on to the next battle. This is from the next day, by the way. We are met with a Zacian on the lead. I'm just going to go for this Moonblast up against the Zacian, and it should put them in the yellow, and now we will see if the Zacian has Wild Charge or if it is running Play Rough. It's going to be running Wild Charge, so I'm going to go ahead and shield the next Wild Charge, and because they are debuffed, I can go for a close combat, and that will be enough to take them out. They let their Zacian go. That's good. That means hopefully they don't have a second answer to Palkia in the back. They're going to bring in Ho-Oh. I'm going to swap immediately into my Landorus. I probably should have stayed in with Xerneas so that my Palkia would be aligned to their Ho-Oh. But at least here, I'm going to be able to take both of my opponent's shields with my Landorus. And now my opponent has no shields left. I can bring in Palkia, and whatever my opponent has in the back, it is going to have to take the energy from my Palkia. They have a Xerneas in the back. They had another Fairy type. I immediately swap into my own Xerneas. I had a little bit of an energy lead on mine, so I can go for a Moonblast before they reach a Moonblast. They are in Aqua Tail range now, so I can go for an Aqua Tail and take the Xerneas out with my Palkia, and now all I have to do here is reach an Aqua Tail to take this Ho-Oh out. They're going to go for a Sacred Fire. I think they get the debuff, but still we are going to be able to take this Ho-Oh out with an Aqua Tail and take that win. That was ABA Fairy, and I still somehow managed to win that. Moving on to the next battle, we're going to see that Dialga Origin on the lead again, But our opponent this time safe swaps into a Mewtwo. Mewtwo messes me up so much. I do not know what to swap into it because I don't have a solid answer to it. But I'm going to take a Psy Strike on my Xerneas, and then I swap into my Palkia, which I'm not sure was a smart idea, because now it means that my opponent's Dialga is going to be able to farm my Palkia down, and hopefully they don't have a Kyogre in the back or a Ho-Oh. Although I might be able to take care of the Ho-Oh with my Landorus, but a Kyogre is going to be a little problematic. It looks like they have an Annihilate. Okay, spicy. This is really nice. I like running Annihilate in Master League as well, but I am worried that it will have Ice Punch, so most likely I am going to go ahead and shield whatever this is, but it turns out to be a Night Slash, and my opponent gets the boost. So I am in a really bad situation now. I have no shields left. I'm not going to be able to get to a move on my Xerneas. My opponent is going to be able to reach a Shadow Ball, and they are going to be able to reach another Shadow Ball as well against my Landorus, and that is going to be enough to take us out. Unfortunately, we're going to take a loss there. Moving on to the next battle, we're going to see an Yveltal on the lead. Amazing lead for us. My opponent immediately swaps into Mewtwo, and this time, rather than staying in with my Xerneas, I insta-swap into my Palkia, but I'm going to have to shield one of the Psy Strikes from them. I'm going to try to get it into Aqua Tail range before throwing an Aqua Tail. My opponent invests a shield, and I'm able to reach the next Aqua Tail before my opponent throws a Psy Strike. So I get both shields out of them, and now I'm going to have to let Palkia go because they are at 2 Psy Strikes. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shield my Lando and come in and farm down. At least I will be able to get to a Stone Edge up against the Yveltal. Okay. Now, I attempted to catch a Dark Pulse on my Xerneas, but my opponent swaps out into a Togekiss, and I should be able to outpace to 2 Moonblasts before my opponent can get to an Ancient Power. So we're able to take the Togekiss out, then my opponent brings that Yveltal back in. They're forced to throw their energy to take Xerneas out, but I have so much energy on my Lando, I'm going to be able to reach a Stone Edge here. And one move from Yveltal is not going to be enough to KO Lando. I was going to be able to reach another move, so my opponent goes ahead and top lefts. I contemplated leaving this next game out because I play it so weird, but my opponent leads Zygarde, good lead for me, and they swap into Zacian. I should immediately swap into Lando, but for some reason I'm staying in with my Zacian. I go for a Moonblast and then I swap into Lando, and now my Lando is going to be up against their Zygarde. I should have just used it for the Zacian, but the gameplay gets weirder. Anyways, we are going to be up against Zygarde with our Lando. I'm just going to be going for these Sandsear Storms, and I am worried that my opponent is going to have another Fairy type in the back, so I do something really weird here, and I swap into my Palkia, and instead of catching a Crunch, I end up catching an Outrage. My Palkia is now in the yellow, and my opponent's third Pokemon is a Landorus. So I just played this really weird. At least I'm able to reach 2 Aqua Tails up against this Landorus, because now it means I can take both of their shields and let Palkia go. Okay, I have energy on my own Landorus. I can come in with it and go for a Stone Edge, but this is where that CMP tie comes in. I have 14 attack. I'm gonna lose CMP, so my opponent is going to get to throw their move before I can, but I have to take the Landorus out, so I invest my shield, and I know that my Zacian will be able to take a Crunch, and I will be able to reach a Moonblast against the Zygarde, so my opponent goes ahead and top lefts. That is going to be a 3-2 in that set. I did remove a few games here and there. Forgive me if the sets are not complete. For my own sanity, I don't want this video to go on for very long. But we managed to gain a lot of points for that 3-2, surprisingly. Anyways, moving on to the next game, we are going to be seeing a Dialga on the lead. This is a really good lead for me. I think I lose this game because I mess up somewhere. My opponent swaps into Lando, and I bait with a close combat, hoping to take a shield from them. We managed to take a shield from them, and then I swap into Palkia. Okay, this is really good. They go for a Sandsear Storm. They're going to start debuffing us, and I know I can take 2, so I'm going to let the second one go. And now this is where I mess up. I CMP tie on the Aqua Tail, they win CMP, and I have to invest a shield. If I had gotten to throw my Aqua Tail first, I don't think I would have invested that shield. Either way, we're still able to Dragon Breath the Landorus down. It's out of the way now. I'm going to go for an Aqua Tail up against Dialga, which does absolutely no damage. My opponent is going to have a Kyogre as their final Pokemon in the back. Okay, let's see if this game is still salvageable. I managed to CMP tie with the Kyogre on the close combat, so I'm just hoping that I can no shield and survive the Surf, and somehow we live with 1 HP. We're able to get that damage off. That was extremely important, and I can save my final shield for my Landorus. Now, my opponent probably attempted to catch a Stone Edge here, but I hold on to my energy. I'm able to go for a Sandsear Storm. I have to throw another one before my opponent can get to a move, but also I need to leave with energy so that I can get to a move on the Kyogre, and now I just have to hope that it's enough to KO. It is. That was super close. Somehow we managed to get away with the win. I don't know why at the beginning I said I lose that. That was a good win. On to the next battle, we're going to get an amazing lead of Palkia. My opponent immediately swaps into Landorus, and as I always do, I'm going to bait with a close combat, hoping to take a shield from them, but they take the close combat on the Landorus. I'm going to bring in Palkia now, and 1 Aqua Tail should be enough to take them out from this range. I'm going to go for that Aqua Tail. Let's see if they let it go or not. They shield. I know I can survive another Sandsear Storm, and I should be able to reach another Aqua Tail, but my opponent swaps back into their own Palkia. Okay, I can bring in Xerneas now, and I'm expecting my opponent to have a better answer to Xerneas in the back, so I'm going to throw the Moonblast, and then I'm going to blind swap into my Landorus. I don't want my opponent to farm me down. Whatever they have in the back, it's going to be a Ho-Oh, and now I should just go for these Stone Edges. I'm not going to bait because my opponent only has 1 shield left. I should be able to shield my Landorus and reach another Stone Edge on this Ho-Oh. I'm going to be able to reach the Stone Edge in the middle of their Incinerate, so they can't catch it, throw it on the Ho-Oh, take them out, and my opponent goes ahead and top lefts because I have a shield left. I'm going to be able to reach a move on their Landorus, and I'm going to be able to take that win. Moving on to the next battle, there's that pesky Necrozma. It is going to be a Necrozma Duskmane on the lead. Instead of swapping into my usual safe swap, which is Landorus, I'm going to swap into Palkia because I'm expecting my opponent to have a solid answer to Landorus in the back because they're running a Steel type on the lead. So I bring in Palkia, my opponent's staying in, and I had a feeling they would go for Outrage, so I shielded my Palkia the first time. Turns out they had the Outrage. I had to shield again to take the Necrozma out. I left with a lot of energy. I was able to farm the Necrozma down, and my opponent brings in their own Palkia. They have to shield the Spatial Rend, and then my opponent's going to bring in a Landorus. Now this is where I mess up. I stay in with my Xerneas, and I take a move from the Lando, so now I'm in the yellow with Xerneas, and then I swap into my Lando. I should have just swapped into my Lando immediately, gotten 1 Stone Edge off. I know that my opponent is going to be able to reach 2 Stone Edges, but now I let my opponent bring in Palkia and farm my Lando down. That means they're going to be able to reach 2 Aqua Tails up against Xerneas, and Xerneas is not going to be able to take them. So I'm going to take a loss there. They're going to be able to take us out with a second Aqua Tail, and that's just unfortunate for me. Moving on to the next battle, we're going to see that really nice lead of Dialga Origin. I'm going to go for these close combats up against this Dialga, and throwing 1 before my opponent can reach an Iron Head. I need to get the damage off before my opponent can throw a move, just to make sure that they won't catch it. My opponent lets me throw 2 close combats before they throw their first Iron Head, so I'm able to take a shield from them. I get to that 3rd close combat, we take the Dialga out, and then I blind swap into my Lando. It looks like my opponent's 2nd and 3rd Pokemon are going to be Ho-Oh and Palkia. I'm okay with drawing the Palkia out with my Lando. My own Palkia is going to be aligned to their Ho-Oh, So it looks like we are in a good position. I'm gonna go for these Sandseer Storms up against their Palkia. I'm able to land 2, and now I can bring in Xerneas, and I think I can go for a full farm down up against this Palkia. We can take that Aqua Tail. It's not gonna do much because it's debuffed, and now I immediately swap into my own Palkia up against their Ho-Oh. I should be able to reach 2 Aqua Tails, otherwise my opponent's gonna debuff themselves here, and I should be able to farm them down with the Dragon Breaths. Actually, they didn't debuff themselves. They went for a Sacred Fire, but I still was going to be able to farm them down. For the last game in that set, I ended up queuing into my Battle Frontier teammate by chance, and he felt bad for me, so he ended up giving me the win. So thank you to that friend. I went 4-1 in that set, and now we just need a 3-2 to reach Legend. Okay, this next game is interesting because technically I run into a hard counter team. My opponent leads Ho-Oh, I swap into Landorus, and they have a Tapu Fini in the back. Now, I wanted to build my own Tapu Fini for Master League until I played this game. I'm gonna go for these Sandseer Storms up against this Tapu Fini. We managed to land the first one and they shield the second one. I get to a third, and let's see if it lands. If it lands, I'm gonna go ahead and shield my Landorus. That way, my Palkia will be aligned to their Ho-Oh, and I'm expecting my opponent to have a second Fairy type in the back. It looks like they do have another Fairy type. It's going to be a Primarina. I'm able to land a Sandseer Storm on the Primarina, but they snipe us with their Ho-Oh, and they have a shield left, so I was really expecting my opponent to shield Ho-Oh, because Ho-Oh should be able to sweep my Xerneas. But they let the Aqua Tail go. Okay, they're going to debuff themselves here, and now the Dragon Breaths are going to put them in a range where I can come in with Xerneas and farm Ho-Oh down. Now I have energy lead on Xerneas, and I should be able to reach 2 Moonblasts up against this Primarina. They're going to be able to reach a move, but a Disarming Voice is not going to be enough to take my Xerneas out. I'm going to be able to reach a Moonblast after this Disarming Voice. It is going to be enough to take the Primarina out, and we're going to take that win. That was a hard counter team. I managed to get away with the win there because Tapu Fini is not great. I will now not build my Tapu Fini for Master League anymore. Moving on to the next battle, there's that annoying Necrozma lead that my team really struggles against. I'm going to insta-swap into my Landorus, and my opponent farms up a ton of energy before swapping into their Palkia. That's not going to be good for me later on, but I let my Landorus go against their Palkia. I'm going to bring in Xerneas now, and I'm going to take an Aqua Tail, but then I am going to throw that Moonblast before they can reach another Aqua Tail. I attempted to undercharge here, hoping that the Palkia would live so that I could get another Geomancy off, but they don't survive. They bring that Necrozma back in, and they bait with a Dark Pulse. I'm gonna go for a Moonblast here. We take a shield from them. They still have a shield. We still have a shield. And it looks like our opponent's final Pokemon is gonna be Dialga. I probably should have baited here rather than going for the Spatial Rend, because if I had baited, I think I might have been able to get to an Aqua Tail and a Spatial Rend. I'm not sure. It looks like they KO'd us before we got to that Aqua Tail. But now my opponent is going to be able to reach 2 Iron Heads up against their Xerneas, and they're going to be able to take us out and take that win. It's really disheartening to get a loss when you're so close to Legend and you just need one more positive set, but it's okay. We're going to keep moving on. Alright, now the only way I can describe this next game is it's really weird, because I play it really weird and my opponent plays it really weird. We're going to be up against Azation on the lead, and it looks like they are running Wild Charge, and I managed to catch the second Wild Charge on my Lando. Now we draw out a Necrozma Dawnwings. Okay, I'm okay with seeing this here. I'm going to start going for the Sandseer Storms, and my opponent makes it to a move. I was expecting this to be Dark Pulse. I think I would have survived a Dark Pulse, but it's Outrage. We now know that they are running Outrage, and I have to shield my Palkia. I'm going to fully farm this Necrozma down because I know that their Zacian is in Aqua Tail range, and I now have 2 of them. So my opponent's third Pokemon is going to be Dialga Origin Form. I have to go for a Spatial Rend. They let it land even though they have 2 shields left. I go for a Moonblast now because I don't want to debuff myself. I know I'm going to be up against their Zacian, and I might have to deal with it with my Xerneas. I end up shielding here for some reason. I probably shouldn't have shielded because I know I can come in with Palkia and Dragon Breath the Zacian down and then have a shield for the Dialga. But my opponent also uses a shield because they could have also not shielded their Zacian, come in with their Dialga and Dragon Breathed my Xerneas down and then had a move for Palkia. But I'm not sure what happened there. We just both played it really weird and I end up somehow taking the win there. Yeah, my opponent didn't have any shields left. I didn't have any shields left, but I was able to reach another Spatial Rend on the Dialga before he got to a move. So really weird game overall. I'm not sure who deserved to take the win there. But that's okay because this next match is going to be absolutely epic. Are you ready for the 10 CP Dynamo in Master League? We managed to one-shot it, and then our opponent has to top left because they couldn't handle the amazing power of Xerneas. Thank you to that opponent who is running 10 CP Pokemon. I do not know who that is, but it looks like they might have been a legend tanking for Go Battle Day, so we got lucky, but they gave us the third win that we needed for Legend. I can now lose this next match in peace. Moving on to the final battle of the video, we are going to be up against a Xerneas, and my Xerneas should win CMP always because it is a hundo and I have the buddy boost. I'm buddy boosting Xerneas because I haven't had a chance to best buddy my Palkia yet, otherwise I would have the buddy boost on the Palkia. Anyways, my opponent swaps out into a Landorus when they realized that they were probably going to lose the lead. I bring in my own Landorus. I know I'm only going to be able to reach one Stone Edge because my opponent's going to be able to outpace to their second Stone Edge, and I'm just going to let my Lando go. And now I think I'm going to bring in Palkia and go for a full farm down on this Lando. That way I have energy to potentially go for an Aqua Tail on the Xerneas. And I believe their Xerneas is in Aqua Tail range. Oh no, I just go ahead and I take the Lando out. But yes, their Xerneas is in Aqua Tail range. I managed to catch whatever this is on my own Xerneas. It is a Moonblast. I was really hoping they would go for a close combat because it looked like my Palkia was in close combat range, but they went for the Moonblast. Their third Pokemon is going to be Necrozma Dawnwings. I managed to land a Moonblast on it, and I'm not going to be able to double up on the Aqua Tails to take their final shield out of the way and take the Necrozma out. They're going to be able to reach a Dark Pulse and take us out, but it doesn't matter because we got the 3 wins that we need to reach Legend, hopefully. And we get a nice little encounter with Thundurus. I can't remember the last time I got a Legendary from GBL. There it is, 3007 elo. We are Legend now. It's over. Thank goodness. That was the longest Legend climb ever. But if you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. Maybe leave a like. It will help me out so much. And I will see you guys in the next video, which will hopefully be a different team. Bye-bye.